you are a business owner, you have
Mhm.
gone through this before, but you're also a systematic thinker. So I think we have lessons that we could learn from you. So tell me,
Yeah.
what have you been through this year? How have you handled it?
Well, since December of last year, I kind of got wind of what was happening in China. But prior to that, about more than 3 years ago, say no 4, when I got back from the U.S., I saw differences in how the business was being run, and I'm more involved with clients, to say the least. I don't take for granted client safety. So even as far back as 3 years ago, uh, we've implemented certain protocols that I felt was actually needed at that time. One of those that concerned me was the pronounced increase in HIV. When my father was senator at that time, he did do the AIDS law, and I kind of inserted some stuff there where people would not be discriminated. So that has already been repealed and replaced by the one of Senator Antiveros, which was another good one because at that time when it was passed, there wasn't really much cases. Okay,
Yeah.
the very first case I knew of was this woman that was infected by one of her lovers. She eventually died that time, but it did leave an indelible mark on me. So when I got back and realized that we had overtaken Thailand with regards to the disease, or rather the virus, I implemented to make sure that I divide our tools into three actually: the non-critical, semi, and the critical ones. Criticals are defined as those that have a higher percentage of actually piercing a one skin. So nail technicians' tools are immediately sterilized. There are three basic hygiene protocols. The first is you sanitize, which is cleaning. Then you introduce another product, which is a disinfectant. Then the third one is when you render an object inert, which is when you sterilize. Okay. I was more concerned about two: hepatitis and HIV. So I could easily kill HIV with just disinfection, but not hepatitis. So they were all taught how to do that, including first aid. So when this whole thing started in the month of December, it wasn't much of a stretch for us, to be honest with you, Maria. We just had to increase the amount of we call it the SDS, our SDS program, because of the uncertainty of what coronavirus was at that time. At that time, we only follow disinfectants approved by the Environmental Protection Agency and approved for use by the Occupational Safety and Health Agency of the United States. I just don't use things simply because somebody says it's a disinfectant. No, show me the study. So I have about 2 inches thick of SDS, or the sanitize, disinfect, sterilize protocol. So every time the classification N or the list N of the EPA changes, I would automatically adapt to it. So, like I said, it wasn't much of a stretch, but changes in dilution
Mm.
and as well as contact time. People often think that once you spray something on surface, you disinfect. No, you should think about it as taking medication. Some of them better 30 minutes before, 30 minutes after meals, and these times affect the efficacy of any medication. People need to understand disinfectants are poison, so you need to be responsible. So it doesn't necessarily mean if I spray something, that's it. No, 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 no. You first have to clean it. Okay. So I was covered for both HIV and hepatitis, but because of the uncertainty, I had to follow the classification, what they call emerging pathogens, which is good. But now that they've more defined coronavirus is what it is, actually, I was slightly overdoing it because I was going for the main gun at that point, but it was better to be safe.
Yeah.
So at that point, we already had protocols in place since January. So during the month of Feb, I advised my team, get ready. We could shut down for a month, is what I said. I was being conservative at that point. Of course, I didn't know it was going to last 3 months. But even coming into the opening, it wasn't much of a stretch. People were talking about contact tracing. I can easily contact trace from 4 years ago. If they talk about sterilization records, I have records that date back 3 years ago, first aid 2 years ago. This is something I believe that businesses should be responsible. Uh, we're offering a specific service that can actually promote a significant amount of contamination for virus. Say you have your foot spa. I have a different formula for that because somebody might come in, have athlete's foot. That's a part of a fungi. I make sure that we have we call a solution B for Clorox, which is 1:7, I believe, and a 10-minute contact time. They all observe all of these. So when we open, people originally, because I believed in my boss in the United States said, if you do something and it looks difficult, you're not doing it right. Your clients should never see the effort that you put in. It should look flawless. So come COVID, I had to think differently. I said, put everything out. And when people saw that, they started to take notice and go, how many do you have? And I would often say, depends on my mood. But honestly, it depends on the number of clients.
Right.
If we're high, we use a stronger one, which would only require a minute or 30 seconds. If it's the times are slow, then we use the 10 minutes. We prepared ourselves for the closure for a month, but not 3 months. When we opened, IATF started saying wearing masks. To be honest with you, we have a specific service, which is a Brazilian treatment. My people are required, if they want to keep working, to use the respirators I provide them, which is by 3M, against a specific type of fumes. Only because at first people were a little concerned, Maria. They were going, well, why are you wearing that respirator and I'm not? And you often have to think about it this way. It's the number of times you're exposed. Say you go to a dentist.
Yeah.
That dentist takes an x-ray. You see them fleeing it, right?
Yeah.
But you're there exposed. You only do the service, which we call permanent blow dry, once every 3 months. You need to understand my people have to do that at least once a day. So it needs to be well ventilated. I follow OSHA requirements for that, for the respirator. So even to that point, Maria, you even have your nails done here. It comes out of a sterilizing pouch.
Yeah.
It is a responsibility I feel we have as a business owner to ensure that we provide a safe place. We don't even try to go beyond 50%, even if 75 is allowed right now.
Yeah.
So you have to think about one, longevity of your business, what it stands for, and three, how do you change the perception of your employees to make sure that this is not for show, this is standard.
Yeah.
We did an initiative recently, and everybody started submitting theirs, all had COVID. I was, should I submit mine? So I did because I didn't have COVID at that time. I only had my regular one.
Yeah.
And when they saw it, they flipped. They go, this is a gold standard. I said, you need to have a basic one. And when a pandemic or an outbreak happens, you adjust.
Yeah.
But after that outbreak, you take it out and you go back to your basics. You just can't form one based on the current crisis or situation. So I have two aspects. So what we only added from that was wearing of face masks or face coverings, the requirement to wear face shields, a form of PPE. People think PPE needs to be completely covered like you're about to enter a level 4 biocontainment unit. No. A fireman's outfit is a form of PPE. Your gloves are a form of PPE. Face masks is a form, it's a very generalized thing. So we use lab coats instead. Why? Because we have a steamer here. So what we do is after, let's say you're the client, you come in, that's freshly steamed. The minute they go to the next one, the client needs to wait because that lab coat goes back into the steamer, steamed back down before meeting the client. We don't do the one-time use thing because it has to be perfectly balanced with the environment. So how do we prepare? Right now, I'm telling my people, be careful careful, we might shut down in January.
Yeah.
So I did advise them. I said, let's be frugal about this. Uh, Maybe it's best you tell your children and explain to them the situation. Christmas, ang Pamasko will be next year na lang. Let's just say first because we don't know what's going to happen in January or February.
Yeah.
Case in point, the United Kingdom, France, Italy. What makes us any different? So I make sure that my people are aware of what could possibly happen. If it doesn't happen, Maria, well and good.
Correct.
But if it does,
Yes.
then my people are prepared. It has to be my people first. So even in practice of services that they perform, cutting tools for hair are disinfected. Nail technician stuff are sterilized. Towels and all of that are sanitized with the required dryer heat. Like I said, it's not a big stretch for us, to be honest with you. But
So,
because of the
so, I mean, you also have a meticulous system where everything is coded into your database, right? So
yes,
that's incredible, and that seems you are an outlier. I mean, in the sense,
yes,
I have to say, having seen all of that, I was like, oh, I'm coming back a lot more, you
yes.
know. But
People say they have records, okay, and what you saw was a very accurate representation of how we do records. Often people have calendars. I have a system that says client A will be having a haircut. So naturally, from the start of the shampoo, that column is blocked, which means the stylist will be there and the assistant will be there until the client leaves.
yeah,
But say you have your hair color. There's a 30-minute process between that both assistant and stylist will not be there while your service is processing. That allows me the efficiency to move the stylist and assistant to say do a haircut or something else, shampoo, blow dry. But more importantly, should there be a possibility that somebody was infected, okay, then I can actually isolate that branch
yeah,
and
you can
say, this
yeah,
is the ones, and now this stylist went to here, and then I can code. I don't have to panic everyone at that point. I think it's more responsible, but at the same time, being given that information by your client means that they trust you. So I don't share that information, nor do I use it for anything other than in-house marketing. Uh, I feel it's a responsibility that we have to make sure and ensure our clients' privacy foremost.
no, fantastic. What would you like to have seen IATF or the government do better?
That they should be able to show, even media in general. I've seen a lot of videos where they would show a specific level or classification of salon that is doing this. And I just cover my face because what you're doing is you're highlighting the mistakes. How about the people or businesses that are responsible?
Right.
You cannot highlight that without showing there was also good because there needs to be an
Yes.
example that can be followed. And hopefully somebody can even surpass that I can follow.
Yes.
But continually highlighting uh, people wearing protective clothing that is all the way covered here. I mean, are we just watching too much of the viral movies here? There needs to be a sense of responsibility as well on their part. We test our people every 2 weeks with a rapid test. The system that we have is if they test positive immediately, then they do the PCR.
Yeah.
There are more uh, false positives than there are false negatives.
Yes.
That depends A, where you store the test, B, how soon you consume the test. Say, okay, Maria, you're careless and you went to a party.
Yeah.
And a business owner says, you went there, you're going to get tested. No, wait 3 days. Because in order for you to get a better result, that virus needs to be at its peak.
I see. Right. Right.
Otherwise,
Please
it's
after.
not going to register anything.
Right. Right.
So that's how you just have to read and consume what you feel is more logical. That's how I think.
No, no, no. It's been great talking to you, Michael. So I guess like if you were to give like every Filipino now is trying to cope with what are the things they need to make sure to do. If you can say the three most important things a family should make sure they follow this holiday season, what would that be?
That would be, again, wearing face coverings or face shield. Two, ensuring that they don't expose themselves because it's the holidays to places where it would have a high relativity of infection. Say everybody would want to go to a restaurant. Can you just order delivery at that point? Uh, there's such a thing as overkill. You don't need to fumigate your entire house. Only the high touch areas. Think of these as, if you wanted a more natural approach, there is no approved natural disinfectant at this point. If there is, I would be the first one to use it, to be honest with you. But show me the tests so
Yeah.
I would know, because I'm not just going to use that if it's a natural thing without the test, because I am responsible for my client and my people. That's how I feel. And I don't want to look back and say, I should have, I could have. I would rather say I did the best I could. And that would be the honest truth.
I'll ask you, I mean, it was very clear also what you were using as disinfectants. I mean, what are the
Yes.
I hate to say what do you recommend, right? What should we be
Um,
in what's
okay.
efficient?
For disinfectants, for household, if you have the money, Lysol spray would be the fastest one that you can get. But like, you have to understand, we're a business, so we have to make sure that we balance it. We use quaternary ammonium, which is the generic name of Lysol, in a specific formula that's approved by the EPA from another manufacturer. But that takes 10 minutes, Maria. So you spray and you have to leave it there for 10 minutes. So what happens now when I have one client after the other? Then I switch to a different brand, which is Oxivir TV by Diversey. That one takes a minute. And then for hard surfaces such as shampoo bowls and marble tops or glass, I would often still use the Clorox version. But the minute our clients are already at a certain portion or work close to 60-70% capacity from the 50%, change immediately. I use a different one of Clorox, the Clorox cleanup, which is about 30 seconds. And then I have another one, which is Lysol Kitchen Max Pro, which is 2 minutes. It all changes. But for traveling, I strongly suggest between the two, if you want to rush between Clorox wipes and Lysol, I would use Clorox because that's 30 seconds. For Lysol, I have to wait 2 minutes. What if I need to use the toilet?
Got it. Got it. Wow,
So
you
just be
have
one
this
of those.
down. Um,
My parents are 70 plus years old,
yes.
and there are times that it's easy for them to follow, but other times, of course, they would go, "Why can't I go out?" And you're just like, "Do I have to say this again?"
Yes. Yes.
So I make sure that. Oh, and here's another thing: the difference between isopropyl and ethyl. Okay,
Alcohol.
any
Yeah.
alcohol. Okay, not because it's high, Maria, it means it's effective. Anything higher than, I believe it's 74%, inoculates the virus, but it doesn't kill it.
Mm,
It has to be between 68 and 70, 72, 74, something like that. So I use 70%, but I have two, ethyl and isopropyl. Iso I use for the hands because it
mm,
doesn't dry up your hands.
yeah.
But every CDC report I've seen talks about the efficacy of ethyl. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out no ISO for surfaces, ethyl only for surfaces.
Got it.
I mean,
Yeah.
simple things like that. You can use it, but you've been to our salon. The frequency that we have to always wash our hands and apply alcohol to our skin, at this point, I think my hands have absorbed more alcohol than I have it honestly intaked. But those are things that are important to know the difference. If you are to choose one, I would choose ethyl so that you can spray it onto a surface as well as your hand. But if it's, if you're a little maniac about it, then make sure that you use ISO for your hands, and then ethyl for hard surfaces, and just bring Clorox wipes.
If I guess the last, I have two last questions. The first one is, advice you would give to a struggling business to be able to do as much as you are doing, but they, let's just say they don't have the systems in place, right? And then, the let's start there, and then
Okay,
I'll.
let's start there. Okay, there are cost efficient methods to have to do this. You can use generic products that is still within the list. All you need to do is cross reference the content. Okay, that's one. Now, once you do that, you still fulfill the requirements to make sure that you have a safe environment. There's a local brand here. God, I forgot their name, but they use glutaraldehyde with quaternary ammonium compound as a mixture. That one has an equivalent there. I believe it was less than 2,000 for a gallon, and
Wow.
you only need, if I'm not mistaken, there are different ones. Okay, there's I think it's a 5 ml to a liter.
Yeah.
Because I push it down. So if you were to count, Maria, how many applications can you do with 5 ml on 1 liter? That's enough to cover your space for a day.
Yeah.
So it's not really that expensive. What it is you need to be able to train your people. Let them know the value and how important this is. The way I train my people is, if you allow this to happen, you will bring it home and your children will have it. And then you'll be coming back to me. And all I can say is, I told you so.
Yeah.
So now they all know the difference between what a toilet bowl cleaner is, what a cleanser is, what a hand soap is. It's all written down for them. But yes, washing hands is the best way. Uh, ethyl would, between the two, ethyl and iso would be a better choice if you don't want combinations. For general disinfectant, the local one. I can give you the name later. I just forget. It's a local manufacturer in the
Yeah. No,
Philippines.
you can give it to me. I'll write it in.
Yes, I'll send you the name of the company.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, at 1 gallon, at 5 ml per 1 liter, you can just imagine how many you'll be able to do. So it's not really a question of cost, but training your people.
Yeah.
It needs to
Human.
be part of
Oh,
their
that
DNA.
human part, right? It's the human.
It's the human part.
That's
Uh, it's not when they go, oh, this virus is very intelligent. No, it's not. You are intelligent. What you're trying to do is become disrespectful to others by not doing what you're supposed to do. Can we stop it? Yes. Does it need anything special to stop? Actually, no. But we just don't often care about the others. But if we did, I went to a gas station once, full on mask and everything. I wasn't crossing a specific line. And I just heard a group of 5 kids say in Filipino that COVID isn't true. My jaw just almost dropped to the floor and I wanted to walk out. We are responsible for our neighbors just as much as they are to us. So if we think as one community, just once, then we can beat this.
yeah.
But if you have even a small group of people that say are naysayers, that small group can infect
Exactly.
everyone.
Right. Right. They're the cluster that would. Yeah.
I mean, my mom and my dad, I go home, we don't even sit near each other. The minute I get home, we're far when we have dinner. Those are examples that you need to uh, basically practice. It
So
can hit anyone.
no, no, no. Those are good. So the last question I have is really, how you're mentally prepared because you prepared for it, and then you have
Yes. Yes.
cascaded that to your area of
Uh-huh.
influence, right? What do you see happening in the new year? I mean, how are you
It
given that?
actually
Yeah,
it
go.
actually scares me. It actually scares me. Uh, New Year is what Thanksgiving is to Americans, and we value togetherness as well as family more so, I guess, than Americans because I'm an American right now and I live there, and I see how clustered Filipinos are during New Year. The group is much bigger than Americans. That scares me. It really does. So even as of last week, I already implemented the new one. After the 25th, I'm giving it another 3 to 4 days. Then all my people go through antigen test again, and again after New Year, and again another one after that. So instead of every 2 weeks, it's going to be every week.
Yeah.
Changing every time. Uh, I am not. Yes, I'm not my brother's keepers, but I have to assume that some or one or some of them will be tempted to do the New Year celebration.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be foolish of me not to. So I already purchased a significant amount of antigens just to prepare for that, which they didn't know I did.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. I mean, again, the business. So where, sorry, I said last, but this
Yeah.
is my last question. In the absence of uh, formal operational rules, right? Because these kinds of guidelines that come down are frankly very difficult to
Mhm.
operationalize aside from wearing masks, right? So, when in our case, for example, we decided that we would work from home as much as
Yes.
possible, and then we had a system of testing, just like
Yes.
we did
Correct.
the people we assigned
Hmm.
outside, right? And that is to make sure that they and their families, because like you, then we are responsible for our people in an environment like this. How did you come up with your own system? Did you consult, in an environment where it's still quite unclear? Where do you get your certainty?
You really don't have to create one. You just need to copy. Mine was based on the California. It's a barbarology association in California, so that was my major platform, and then I just moved it a little further and further. What would you think? I would often tell my nail technicians, what would you do if you went to the dentist and you weren't sure that what's going to be put in your mouth was sterilized? And they all said, sir, hindi kami magpapadentista. And I said, now think about it as your client. So I said, do not open that sterilizing pouch until your clients are there in front of them.
Yeah.
Things like that. It's to gain client confidence. B, to show our clients our commitment to it. It's not just a show, but I I guess it is right now because normally we don't show those. Yeah, that's about
Confidence
it.
inspiring also, di ba? Kailangan,
Yeah,
we need to have that also. Yeah.
yes. I guess as a community, we have to ask ourselves one question: what can I do to help stop it? And if the answer would mean to cross the line of what your profit margin is, you're then left with two questions: the ethical and the financial. Unfortunately for me, even like I said, even before the pandemic, uh, I was already prepared for different levels for fungi, hepatitis, and HIV. It wasn't much of a stretch. It was already inputted in our cost. This was only now the frequency,
Yeah.
where we would do it 3 times a day. Now a client stands up, a group of people start spraying down that chair, and then you have 10 minutes interval between that, and then make sure that everything is not only swept but vacuumed. So when a client comes in, the place is disinfected. And our stylists sometimes, some of them have had to invest in 2 sets of stuff, whether it's cutting or brushing, because you need 10 minutes. I use my brush at you and comb set, etc. That's 10 minutes. But then you have another client coming in, then you don't have time. So you need 2 sets.
Yeah.
Uh, to do that, there are ways to be more economically feasible. But because we were prepared for that, it was just a matter of frequency. To do that, put it this way, Maria, I can actually face any client I have and tell them in all honesty, no, we practice this. To this day, we've always opened our salon an hour before regular opening to do what we do. Actually, before it was 30 minutes. Now we have to do it an hour.
Yeah.
Even for closing, everything's disinfected. From the minute we open, we do it again just in case something's missed. So it's a double thing.
I really hope a lot more salons are like yours. I mean, this is great. This is, it's good to hear, and it definitely gives all of us confidence, I think. So
Well,
we,
I'm glad about that. I certainly hope the government, especially the IATF, would show the other side of it. Are there salons that are doing this? My
yeah,
goal has never always been to meet a standard, but try to exceed it. So when something worse happens, I'm shielded right away.
yeah,
Uh, right now, the hardest is HEPA C. So certain portions are sterilized,
yeah,
so I don't have to worry. Again, COVID was an easier one for me, but we just added uh, face mask, face shield, protective clothing, and oh yes, our stylists are. I had to train my stylist. Only speak to your clients in front of the mirror. Don't
mm,
speak to them face to face. So
mm,
you notice I was doing that to you.
yeah, 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 yeah. Interesting.
Try not to make it obvious. So
So, no, fantastic. Thank you for your thoughts. And actually, you're right. We do need to have stories that show us that not only can we do this well, but that we will get beyond it, and that it's part of a whole
yes,
system, right? For
correct.
HIV and hepatitis.
I,
Again, I
yeah,
think you're pretty unique. Name others like that.
I believe the salon Keandre together. We were talking in depth. We had just differences in how we're doing it,
Yeah.
but they also have a very strong sanitize, disinfect, and sterilize protocol. I've seen what they have. Uh, I know I should say this, but we were even competing one time. No, it's got to be dumbed down for everything that we do. Then we'll just put pictures
Well, there's
because
the but there's the real hard work, and then there's the
yes,
communication of the work. Iba pa yun.
that's what she was saying. And she goes, "Okay, I'll show you mine." So when she did, I said, "Okay, I can improve on this." So we, instead of saying, "No, this is mine," we were sharing the information simply because it's what's needed. Yes, there's a lot of hard work I put in it, but if it can save even one life, thank you.
And that is a great place just to end. Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you,
thank you very
Michael.
much, Maria.